Hello, YNABers. My name is Jesse Meekum, and this is podcast number 23 for You Need a Budget, where we teach you 4 rules to help you stop living paycheck to paycheck, get out of debt, and save more money. Hello again. If you guys have anything you want me to talk about in future podcasts, you can write me at podcasts@youneedabudget.com. I'd be happy to talk about it. I've even thought about taking calls live. That could be kind of interesting. Today I want to talk about reality and where you operate with your finances. When you operate with a budget and you're following Rule 1, it just means you basically need to prioritize your expenses. Everything has a priority. Everything has a cost, an opportunity cost. If you choose to do this, you can't do that. If you don't do that, you maybe could do this, and so on. That's Rule 1. It's just weighing things constantly back and forth. When you're not operating in a budget, you're not operating in reality. Our teachers often say you have your head in the clouds or maybe you have your head in the sand. Either way, you're ignoring reality. You just don't want to look at it. And that was a lot kind of the experience that I had when I first decided that I would launch YNAB. It was actually before that, and it wasn't called YNAB or anything like that. But it was just mine and Julie's budget on our spreadsheet. And we used Rule 1, we used Rule 2 and 3 and 4. We didn't call them rules, we just called it the budget. And I remember we did that for about a year, probably under a year, from about March of 2003 until probably about January of 2004. We had been doing this budget thing, and we'd been really good at it. We'd been saving a good amount of money. I had a pretty darn good job as far as college kids go. And I felt like we were doing really well. And I felt like we'd been very frugal and very, we'd been really wise with how we'd spent our money. We weren't extending ourselves at all. We didn't have any debt. We lived in a junk heap of an apartment, drove a junk heap of a car, that type of thing. So I was really mad when I was working on our budget, and I was trying to kind of forecast where or how we would be able to have Porter come along in June of 2004 and have Julie be able to stay home and take care of him. And I remember distinctly sitting in our apartment in the other room. There were 2 rooms. Well, I guess there was 3 if you count the bathroom. There's the kitchen, the bedroom, and the bathroom. I was sitting in the bedroom at the desk, which was almost in the way of the door. And I was sitting on a large Dr. Pepper cooler. It was like a Dr. Pepper can that is actually a cooler. And it's something you can use, obviously, as a cooler. Or if you're dirt cheap and poor, you can use it as a seat when you're working at your Walmart desk. We got the cooler as a wedding gift. So imagine that, a very large soda can looking cooler as your gift. Pretty unique. I think we still have it, actually. Anyway, I'm sitting on that, working on the computer, calculating and crunching numbers and kind of forecasting and trying to figure out, okay, we're going to have this much saved by the time this little guy arrives. We got to pay for him to come. And then I've got 2.5, 3 years of school left. How's this going to fly? We'll have to draw down on savings. And as I did these, forecasts, I was looking at how we were having to draw down on savings, and we didn't have enough savings. And we wouldn't have enough savings by the time Porter came to be able to make it through without Julie needing to work. And she'd been working for this, since we'd been married. She'd been working, less than a year, but she was in social work, so she wasn't exactly rolling in dough, Anyway, so we end up sitting there running the budget, and I was pretty mad. I was mad that the reality of the situation was that despite my best efforts and despite what I thought was really diligent work on my part, working as many hours as I could while keeping my grades up, I was upset that reality was we would not reach our goal. We would have to borrow some money or slow down with school. I couldn't really slow down. I was in a program that was kind of a lockstep deal. You wouldn't just say, "Oh, I'm going to take a semester off." You'd end up taking a whole year off if you did that. So it was a problem for me, and I was mad. And I was mad for a good couple days. And then my mind started working on other potential ways to earn some money. And I remember at that time, real estate was pretty exciting. It had been going strong for a few years, I believe, at that point. And so I remember thinking I could somehow get into real estate and make money, flip houses, like I had any idea what I was doing there. I still don't. And anyway, I remember having that thought. I remember reading a few books specifically about flipping real estate, trying to think of maybe earning some money on the side that way. I thought about, taking a job, like a sales job, where maybe I could try and really kill it and earn a good bit of money. But my job actually paid me pretty well. And so that wasn't, to switch something out of my career path at that time to go do sales over the phone didn't seem that great. And then I remember ran into a guy that was that I knew from church, and he was selling something online and selling this little kit that he had created. And it was to help businesses or help people start lawn care businesses, and just had kind of a startup kit and all this advice. And I was just blown away. I thought, you got to be kidding me. What are you talking about that you sell this, And I don't remember what he sold it for, but he was living off of it and going to school and had 2 kids. And, so he was definitely a few years ahead of me, and it looked pretty appealing. So a few days later, I came to him and I said, hey, I've got this budget spreadsheet that I built for me and Julie. Do you think I could sell it? And do you think it would make any money? And he said, yeah, you could definitely sell that. So that was pretty much it. That was the start of it. And Julie said people wouldn't buy it, but I ignored that little tidbit of advice and went ahead and started working on YNAB. I didn't know anything about marketing. I still feel actually pretty weak in that area, but I didn't know anything about spreadsheets beyond the basics of what I'd built. I didn't know anything about writing copy for sure. I wish you guys could see the first pages of copy I had. They were atrocious, but I didn't know any of that, but I was able to get started and get going and earn that money on the side that let us get through school debt-free, and not even debt-free, but actually have some money in the bank. Not tons, but that was something, there was something to show for it. I say all this maybe to get some of you guys going that think you've got to know exactly every little detail before you get started on something. But, maybe to inspire you if you're thinking about starting something, just start. But what I really want to talk about is the fact that the budget gave me bad news. The budget had told me when I was stressing and crunching numbers, trying to figure out how to stay debt-free and finish school and have the baby come and Julie stay home with him, I remember being mad that the reality of the situation told me I didn't earn what I thought I deserved. And I'm grateful now to the budget. I'm grateful to that process, because instead of me just having my head buried in the sand or in the clouds and having me and Julie just spend against reality, just operate in our own little dream world, where we end up getting into debt, or I take some job and blah, blah, blah. And then I've got this chain around me, this debt that I've got to pay off. And so there's no job flexibility. There's no career flexibility. I'm glad that the budget basically said, hey, you're going to have to deal with this. But I'm glad that it forced me to think through stuff and think through some other potential opportunities. That desperation, that need for money on the side was the whole driving force behind me starting up this little website to teach people how to budget. And at that time, I just thought I'd be selling the spreadsheet. I didn't know there was a method. We were using it. I just hadn't articulated it. So the budget basically unleashed what little creative power I had and helped me launch something that literally changed my life. Literally. And if you're feeling like the budget's maybe giving you only bad news, I think you'll be able to find some silver lining there as you keep working in reality, keep staying focused on what you can do, follow the rules to the very best you can, and just let that desperation, let that, letting the budget be your guide will basically push you to a point where you can say, well, we have to change something. What can we do? and then you'll unleash your own ingenuity, your own creativity toward that problem, and you'll find the answer. There was a really cool poem that I read from the book, tiny little book, As a Man Thinketh by James Allen. And I thought I would end with that. It was cool. I wanted to get Porter to memorize it for his class. They were required to memorize a poem, but his teacher said it was too hard. But it's not too hard for us, and I wanted to share that with you guys. James Allen, As a Man Thinketh. At the end of chapter 2, he says, "You will be what you will to be. Let failure find its false content in that poor word, environment, but spirit scorns it and is free. It masters time, it conquers space, it cows that boastful trickster chance and bids the tyrant circumstance uncrown and fill a servant's place. The human will, that force unseen, the offspring of a deathless soul, can hew a way to any goal, though walls of granite intervene. Be not impatient in delay, but wait as one who understands. When spirit rises and commands, the gods are ready to obey." And I'll end on that great note. Until next time, follow YNAB's 4 rules, and you will win financially. You have not budgeted like this.